Hey everybody, Mark Herman, aka LA Bengals fan on most of the major platforms. And as always, I am joined by Sam Snyder of Primetime Sports Talk. Tell them where they can find your stuff.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Buy and Sell You. I write for Primetime Sports Talk. Like Mark said, you can find us at Talk Primetime or primetimesportstalk.com.
So, and if you don't subscribe, please subscribe. It's the only thing we ask. So hit that little logo in the lower right corner, hit subscribe, and we're all
What
good.
about money, Mark? Are we
We
asking
don't
for
ask
money?
for money. We just ask for you to subscribe. It's really easy. So, but let's get right into this exciting game. And actually, it wasn't ordinary. I want to give us that. But first and foremost, thank you for anybody who followed Sam's advice and bet the game that Miami did cover. Personally, I never thought they wouldn't, but and also the second half was a gift from Vegas. The second half bet on when it was 7-6 was an absolute gift. So yeah. So two easy plays there, but we usually go with the good with the bad. Let's take the good first because I have very little good, and so let's go with the good first. Does that mess you up? Or are we good?
No, I don't know. I'm looking to see if I have.
Right. Well, my good is really
lean.
Jesse Bates continues to show he's one of the best safeties in the league.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So absolutely, Jesse Bates. Gio still runs with heart, determination, is everything we're asking him to do. So that was good. I first half play calling and our scheme to start the game, I thought was good because we tried to run the ball more. We actually had, I think, as many or maybe slightly more runs in the first half than we did all of last week. Gio only touched the ball 8 times last week, and he touched the ball 9 times in the first half this week. So I thought that was good, and that helped the short passing game. So that was something good. And
I think if I could jump in real quick.
Yeah, please do.
I agree on Bates for sure. The forced fumble was huge. I mean, obviously, it didn't eventually affect the outcome so much, but a forced fumble and then 10 tackles with 3 assists. If there's anybody out there that doesn't think he's the best safety in the league this year, then they're mistaken because he's just been. I mean, it's all pro level. And Bernard, I agree. We were trying to give Gio the ball more. Miami's defense isn't. We talked about it in the preview. They still give up over 130 yards a game rushing. So I didn't expect to get, a ton out of them. We should have given him the ball a little bit more, and his average was only like 2.9 yards. But you can't just expect to all of a sudden have a great average. You need to count on, a 20-yard gain here or something like that.
Right.
But I agree. Yeah, we were putting the ball in his belly, and I was glad to see that. So I agree with you on the offensive play calling.
Right, but that was for the first half only because once again, we get to halftime, things changed. Gio finished with actually 2.5 yards. I think he was 3.1 for the first half, but now we're going to transition all the way over to the bad because we had 9 first half carries. He only had 12 in the game. So once again, we only gave him the ball 3 times in the second half.
For 30 yards.
Yeah. Well, we actually only had, so we're going right into the bad here. We actually only had 30 yards total of second half offense, but the things I have on the bad, and my number one thing is Miami gifted us, because the last thing I had on the good, Miami basically was Christmas came early. They had tons of penalties. This is the second least penalized team in football. Yet they had, I think they were averaging 7 penalties a game or 8 penalties a game, and they had 7 or 8 just in the first half. They had a 1-yard pass. Brandon Allen threw a 1-yard pass. It was a 3rd and 3. Boyd caught the ball with 2 yards to go, and basically just blown coverage. One good block, took out another guy, and Boyd ends up taking this 1-yard pass, 72 yards. I mean, that's just a gift. You can't ever count on these little passes being that. Miami's TD was negated by a lineman. You had Miami drop the long pass. I mean, they continued to give us gifts in the second half. And with all that said, we're up 7-6 at half. That's
Yeah,
it.
the Dolphins tried really hard to let us win this game. And yet we failed to take advantage.
Yeah. Well,
They really tried hard to give it to us, and I feel like that's happened a lot this year. Um, in the Tennessee game, even in the Pittsburgh game, we had, we went into it thinking they're going to blitz like crazy because that's what they should do, and then they didn't, and you were like, well, I could be an NFL coach if
right.
that's if that, if that's all it takes.
Oh,
But Brandon Allen, he played well in the first half, but he still finished the game before he was injured. It's a chest injury, and he's fine. Basically, he got the wind knocked out of him and just didn't come back in. He finished the game with 153 yards, which, by the way, is only 2 yards short of our total offense last week.
right.
He finished with 153 yards, but take away that 72-yard
What did he have?
pass
Yeah.
to Tyler Boyd, and you're talking, he had, like 80
Yeah.
yards, 80
No,
yards
it's
passing.
no, and Miami they went for it on fourth down. They ran a really good play, and it turns out the offensive lineman didn't report it as eligible. It was just a technicality that negated a touchdown. I mean, they did everything to help us out. And Brandon Allen, yeah, he was a short passing game we had set up, and it was a decent scheme. But the one touchdown we got was just a gift that you don't usually score on those 1 yard passes. So
Yeah, and I'll also say, I mean, I guess maybe this is a half good, half bad mark. I think that in the first half, definitely the first quarter, but I think the first half, the offensive line played very well, and you can't make up for the fact that Brandon Allen is just not a good quarterback.
no,
Um, I think we both agree on that. But the offensive line played really well. We started out with Jonah. Suafilo went to left guard. Obviously, Trey was at center. Spain was at right guard. And Bobby Hart, who, again, can't believe I'm going to say it, Bobby Hart had a great game today. He looked really, really good. The offensive line looked really great in the first quarter. And then it just kind of continued going downhill after that. And it all culminated when Jonah Williams went out,
right.
and they put a Denijai in there. And I like a Denijai a lot, but
Not at left tackle.
but here's the thing. They also, Miami decided to move Shaq Lawson around. We've talked about this a million
Oh
times.
yeah, yeah.
You take your best defensive player and you put them where the vulnerability is. And as soon as Jonah Williams went down, they were like, all right, Shaq Lawson, you line up against Hakeem Adeniji.
Right.
And boom, sack, sack, sack. Not necessarily a sack, but at least quarterback hits. But the offensive line played really well in the first half, and I hate to say that one of my good things is only one half of football.
Well,
But
that's the whole thing because
that's where we are. That's
I
where we
talked
are.
about the play calling. I talked about running the ball a little more. We basically equaled our running attempts in the first half, what we did last week. And they turn around, they come back out. They make absolutely no adjustments in the second half. We approached the game the exact same way we did to start the game. Miami makes their adjustments. We have 3 straight 3-and-outs. Miami rolls that into 13 consecutive points, and the game is essentially done. I mean, it's essentially done. And you gassed your defense because you've gone 3-and-outs, and you basically have a tired defense in the fourth quarter. So I just shake my head, and then we're going to get into all the Keystone Cops moments that occurred. We had 5 ejections in this game. We'll get into that in a second, but that was, I mean, they had 25 total second half yards. That's it. 25 total second half yards.
Yeah,
So,
it turns out because I looked it up. I didn't look it up. it turns out if you have 25 total yards, you're probably not going to win the
Yeah,
game.
you don't even need to. You have in a half of football, if you can only get 25 yards, there's a really good possibility that
Yeah,
your team gave you 5 turnovers and you had 2 pick sixes and a punt return, that you're going to lose the game.
yeah,
So
you're screwed. You're screwed.
that I was just shaking my head. And now we'll get into, the white elephant in the room that we're obviously going to talk about, and that's just the lack of discipline on this team. I mean, you sat there. I know that Tyler Boyd, it was a second jab, but he did throw, and it's right in front of the officials, and so they tossed both players. If you're going to toss either one of them, you have to toss them both. And
Yeah,
so
I didn't
that was
have
fine. I had no
I didn't have
problem
a
with
problem
that.
with that. I had no problem with that.
Then we have the first Michael Thomas early hit on a defenseless player, not letting him make the fair catch, or even you have to at least make them. Their punt returner's fast, and he also never calls fair catches. So I know that they were gunning for him, but he's a little early on that one, and he gets penalized for it. But when he comes out and he does the same thing on the next punt, and was seconds early. I mean, literally, I think the ball, I can't remember.
Yeah, well,
hit Thomas in the in the back as he's shoving the guy into the ground. It just instigated that whole bench clearing brawl. And
yeah, I was gonna say it really wasn't even quite the same thing. I mean, the first one was it was poor decision making on Mike Thomas's part.
right.
The second one was egregious.
Yeah.
It wasn't even the same. And it's like, you got penalized on the first one. Why do you go even harder on the second one? It made absolutely no sense whatsoever. And I know the guy didn't call for a fair catch, but that doesn't mean, you're on special teams. Your job is to know where the ball is and when it's coming down and when you can hit a guy.
Right.
You just can't do it.
Well, think about this. The ball's coming down. He doesn't have the ball when you're hitting him. So you can't hit him. So
exactly.
So now the thing, and I know this is a quirk in the rules, but they didn't, of all the people who didn't get tossed, Michael Thomas was one of them. My feeling is you have 2 consecutive penalties like that. You just call it unsportsmanlike, egregious, something, and get him out of the game. And had that happened, we probably don't have that. But we have the whole kind of incident happen, and then Sean Williams does the shove. I mean, Von Bell is actually trying to hold back Brian Flores, who I'm assuming came out on the field to see his injured player, but he's out on the field. There's nothing chippy with Bell and Michael Flores. He's just trying to hold him back and kind of calm the situation down. And then Sean Williams comes in and throws a sucker jab, and the whole thing
it was a forearm shiver.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I'm sitting there going,
you can't do that.
Everything, tempers are starting to calm down a little bit, and then you come in and throw gasoline on it. So 3 players are ejected. The bottom line is here that tonight, when we're watching the football night in America, when we're watching football night in America tonight, the narrative, the optic is going to be, look at this team and look how undisciplined they are. And we're coming off a week where we've had a lot of different stories come out. We've had 2 different Bleacher Report reported it. It was picked up again by Stripe Pipe that there are some people in the front office that are now questioning the Zach Taylor hire. You've got a lot of now talk about, is he the right guy? Now instead of he's our guy, we're going to give him more time. Now you're kind of looking at it, and then he does stuff like this and brings out a team and just shows that there's like no discipline, no control at all. You had some news earlier in the week. You and I talked, and we didn't say anything because you didn't want to compromise anything. But go ahead and tell them what we talked about.
Yeah, I don't want to compromise my sources or anything, but I did have one that said there's at least one person in the Brown family, and by Brown family I mean Mike Brown, Katie Blackburn, Troy Blackburn,
right? The
people in charge. At least one of those people is not happy with Zach,
right?
And I know that makes you very happy, Mark. I'm kidding.
I know. I've said to you before, don't tell me, show me. So prove me wrong.
Right.
Each week we get
I'm
more
kidding.
stuff that proves me right.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is. That's significant because they're, the three of them in particular are usually on the same page.
Yes.
It's not just that Mike decides something and they go along with it. They usually all decide these things together. So to hear someone inside the organization say that there's somebody in that family that is questioning the situation is, I don't know, it's if there's any, if it's tumultuous at all, then that's worth noting. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
the same source told me, I said, what are the chances that we're going to see Joe Mixon tote the rock again this season? And they said, I'd call it a long shot. And I already kind of knew that,
Me too.
you base it on, things like how we handled AJ Green last year. And so, and the fact that we got nowhere to go.
Right.
It's not like we're going to win a bunch of games all of a sudden or anything like that. So I wasn't shocked, but, that's just kind of where we are. And it just adds on to, we made a bunch of really great free agent signings in the offseason, and a lot of them have been injured. And I know you think that I'm not excusing Zach Taylor. I'm not. I'm trying to hold him as accountable as everybody else. I'm not calling for his head. If there are other changes made to the staff, then I'm okay with Zach sticking around for one more year if we get rid of Anarumo, if we get rid of Turner. But the same source told me the chances of Zach Taylor being okay with Jim Turner leaving the offensive line coach, the chances are really, really slim. And that was the part where I went,
You're going to go with him.
That's not good. Yeah.
No, you can follow him out the door. I question that hire. I was fully on board when he got hired, and the Jim Turner thing really had me immediately right out of the gate questioning his decision making, because
I remember
not somebody that I thought should be on his staff. I mean, he loaded it up with all the staff he pulled from. Okay, let's go through. He was offensive coordinator for 5 games at Miami. Okay, during the whole Bullygate thing, he was OC was promoted midseason for the last 5 games. That's it. Other than that, he's been a position coach, and he basically plucked from that Miami staff. Anarumo, that was on the staff at the time, Turner, that was on the staff at the time. And I'm like, but that staff was an Adam Gase staff that wasn't that good. So right. why are we rating? It's not like we're rating the Super Bowl staff here. So the whole thing just had me questioning things. But we're going to see what happens, but it's nice to hear that maybe people behind the scenes are kind of seeing what a lot of the fan base has been saying for the last, it's not just us. I mean, there's a lot of people in the fan base that have been questioning Taylor, especially with his use of Burrow and just all the stuff. You can go back and watch all our episodes. I want to give you some of his comments from his presser today, because I watched it, as I really wanted to see if he was going to say something. I thought, well, here's a day where he can go out there and just say something other than the usual stuff. I know you're rolling your eyes. So here was his first quote, because he likes to throw out these cliches. I'm proud of the effort the team gave us today. Okay. Maybe in the beginning of the game, but I don't know that that's there. But then he was asked,
well, defensively, we played well.
Yeah. What do you say to guys who will say you've lost control of the team? That was a direct question. I don't know who asked it. His question, here was his response. Our guys got put in some tough spots, but you need to maintain your composure. That doesn't answer the question at all. We didn't ask about the guys and their composure, okay, and whether they got put in tough spots. The question was, what do you say to people that say you've lost control of the team? And that's a non-answer.
I agree.
And then we had 2 more cliches come out as answers. We've got to get better. Okay. Yeah. And we put ourselves in tough spots. He loves to throw that one out there. So that's what we got from the Zach presser today. Nothing. Anytime he was asked a question with some teeth, and I think Lapham gave him one question, that had a little bit of teeth when it asked about the referees and what he thought of a certain call. And he was like, I'm going to have to pass on that one. So whenever he gets one that's got some meat in it, and this is from Lapham, who works for the team. I mean, the
Right.
friendliest questions you're going to get are from Dave Lapham.
Yeah, I understand that, but I think we can both agree that most coaches do that. I mean, basically, I mean, put Belichick there, put Belichick in that situation, and all he says is no answer, no answer,
But
no answer. So I don't know. Do you want the cliche? Do you want no answer? Does it matter? It's the same. It's the same thing.
right.
I'm not disagreeing with you. If I see changes on the staff, I'm okay with Taylor being back, because, and I know people hate to hear this. They hate to hear the word culture, but I think he has changed the culture, and that's enough for me to give him just a little more time. But however, like I said with Turner, if there aren't other changes on the coaching staff made, then I'm with you. I stand next to you completely. I don't want people to watch these videos and think that I'm a Zach Taylor homer. I'm not. I'm a Bengals homer,
Right.
and I want the Bengals to do well. I don't think that Zach Taylor is a horrible coach. I think that there have been some bad decisions made as far as the rest of our coaching staff. And if we address some of those, then I'm willing to give him a little more time.
Okay. Here's my take, and it all is going to hinge on, and it's more of kind of the Green Bay take on things. Okay. If Joe Burrow is okay and says, I want Zach to stay, and Zach, once again, has to let Turner walk. If he draws a line in the sand and says, if Turner goes, I go, then fine, Zach, you're out the door. Because there's no way. There's absolutely, if you're that stupid, you've already were stupid enough to hire the guy. If you're that stupid to hitch your wagon now to Turner, you deserve to go out the door with him. But
yeah, pardon my language for anybody that's watching right now. But if he did that, fuck him.
Yeah, go.
Go.
There's the door. Don't let it hit you where the good Lord split you, right?
Exactly.
But if Burrow says, I like Zach, I would like to keep him, then I'm okay. Just like I guarantee you that Aaron Rodgers gave his blessing on the LaFleur hire. I guarantee it. There's no 100%. Way you had to keep Aaron Rodgers happy, and I guarantee you he was consulted on that. If I could do the same thing, I would consult, because Burrow's our future. You want Zach, we'll keep Zach. But if Zach's not the guy, then he's not the guy, and he's out the door. So that's the only way I'm happy keeping him is if Burrow blesses it.
I would say I would even go as far as to say both Joes. If you get Burrow and Mixon to both say, we like that guy, we got no problem with him, then you say, okay, cool. We'll fix everything else and he can stay. Right. I'm with you. Yeah. In my opinion, if either one of them says, I don't like Zach Taylor, then bye, Zach.
Bye, Zach. So, I absolutely agree. So, all right, well, we'll go into more of that kind of stuff when we do our preview. We got Dallas coming up this week. This is the one win, I think, that you have predicted. Andy Dalton's return to Cincinnati, which I think is going to be a triumphant return, but we will see.
I'm telling you, that's our win.
Well, you know what? Here's an interesting situation. We're kind of locked in with the best possible draft pick we could have is 3, because we beat Jacksonville. So even if Jacksonville were to lose another or were to win another game, we beat them on the tiebreaker.
Well, so, and the Jets
showed today that they want the first pick. If you don't believe me, just watch the last play of the game and tell me if that's a team not looking to give up a Hail Mary. So because they don't want to win the game and they want to keep the number 1 pick spot. So and football, listen, if you don't want that kind of stuff to happen, put in a lottery for the top 3 teams or something. Take that, that you're not guaranteed the first pick. But until you do, the Jets are playing by the rules.
I think it's only a matter of time.
We're going to see. But so the Jets are kind of locked in at 1. The Jacksonville, unless they win 2 more games, and we would have to not win a game. So we're kind of keyed in on 3. 3 is not a bad place to be, because your Lawrence is going to go 1, Fields is going to go 2. So our pick is tradable. If you're looking to draft the BYU kid, if there's a quarterback out there, and I've heard reports that there are as many 6 quarterbacks are going to go in the first round this year. So if you're looking at it, we could really trade back and fix our offensive line. I mean, we could have a whole new offensive line. So hanging at 3 is a big deal, not just for the first round, but for the second round too. So
well, and we could realistically get the name escapes me, the offensive lineman. We could get him at probably 5 or 6.
Absolutely.
So at the very least, you could maybe trade down a couple spots, except the other teams kind of know what you're doing.
Well,
so they already know that you're not going to take who they want.
But they know that our pick is there because they know we're not going quarterback. They know we're a viable trade partner. So because of that, and you've got teams, we already know that the Bears were willing to trade up for Trubisky. So who's to say that they're not looking to make a move up if the BYU kid is sitting there? So it's going to be
absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. 3 is a really good spot for us to say. So I really hope, like I said, I just don't think there's another win on the calendar because of the teams we're playing. But I really hope that we are able to, even if we win a game, because we'd be tied with the Chargers, and I haven't looked at the tiebreakers yet, but they have the tiebreaker on us. We could still, even if we win one more game, we could probably still be 3 or 4. So, but we're kind of locked in
next week.
What's that?
We're going to win next week.
Well, you've said it. So,
I'm on record, baby.
So we'll see. You're on record. So, but that's all. We're kind of locked in. So we'll see what happens. But we'll preview all this stuff coming up this Thursday against the Cowboys. Once again, tell them where they can find all your stuff.
Absolutely. At Buy and Sell You on Twitter. I write for Primetime Sports Talk at Talk Primetime or primetimesportstalk.com. So, please subscribe.
Yeah. And I want you to know I'm wearing a Jeff Blake jersey. And this is not because I have anything against Jeff Blake. I absolutely love Jeff Blake.
I hated Jeff Blake.
Because of the season we're having, I feel like we're in the lost decade. Okay.
Right.
And because I would love to start looking back, we have Willie Anderson who could come in and be our offensive line coach. We have Jeff Blake, who, if not being a quarterback coach, could certainly come in and help Burrow with the long ball because he was good at chucking the long ball. So I just think that's why I wore this out, just thinking about, guy can dream.
You can't teach somebody how to throw it long.
So, well, we can get into that. We're going to do a whole coaching. Believe me, we're going to have a whole video on coaching at the end of the season. So
it might be 4 hours long.
It might be 4 hours. We'll do it in parts. Come on, we can have a mini series.
We'll do 4 of them, yeah.
So we'll work it out. If you don't subscribe, please subscribe. With that, we will be back Thursday evening. I'll say hoo day, everybody.
Hoo day.
Hoo day. See you guys.